Kevin Williamson that's injected into it. I don't know if it's too much. I think, they were just exhibiting some plasticity with the times, but it worked better.
To its credit, I don't think that's a bad thing.
It worked better than it deserved, though. When I rewatch Urban Legend, I can only rewatch Urban Legend because I was like 18 when it came out. I still like I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is way better than Urban Legend. But still, if I didn't first see I Know What You Did Last Summer when I was 16, I probably wouldn't have any patience for it.
That Sarah Michelle Gellar death is pretty gnarly.
But the movie overall and its delivery, and I probably wouldn't be so it's not a bad movie. But I probably wouldn't be patient with it. Whereas this and Scream, not that I'm going to quite put this at a Scream level, but this and Scream, they do work for me still much better. And I think they do work for people who didn't grow up with them. A Scream much more than this probably. If someone's 25 today and watched each of them, I think Scream is going to stick better. Mm-hmm. But this is going to stick a lot better, I think, than your I Know What You Did Last Summer, than your Urban Legend, which was kind of a crass cash grab that ended up with a lot of people who turned out to be good actors later, but they didn't know that then. And again, I do keep finding more and more that I like, and things that I used to criticize, I then came to forgive, and then later realized there's nothing to forgive here. This is just different. It's a different flavor of a Halloween movie, and it's nice to have that. Nightmare on Elm Street 1 and 2, well, different flavors but similar tones. 3 and 4, and then 5 in a bastardized way, another tone. Then between 5 and 6, we went full tilt. But then when we got to Wes Craven's New Nightmare, we had a very refreshed flavor. They keep trying things, and sometimes they work and sometimes it doesn't. We have to credit people for trying. And this was one of the tries that I think stuck when they threw it against the wall. I really appreciate this movie, and I think it has a lot to offer. And the more I watch it, the only criticisms that I have are little cute nitpicks when I say I think the key ignition was on the wrong side of the car, which probably just made filming more simple. I really like this. I think it was shocking that it took so long for the next sequel to happen, because in my opinion, it was incredibly obvious that it wasn't Mike Myers in the last scene when he tried to take off his mask in shock when he regained consciousness.
Oh, you are opening up a can with that.
Yeah.
End with that.
Mustafa would not allow that, and they had to fight for it. Yeah, we didn't even touch on that. But yeah,
but to me, like, I had to look and see when it came out. Mm-hmm. I just assumed it was the very next year. And
it was
so
years later.
I was shocked. And it was, 3?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, like, to me, no, and I won't say it was obvious when I saw it way back when, but now when I watch it, it's just like, oh, shit, that's obvious. This isn't just saying in the next movie, oh, no, this happened. We were just saying that this happened in the previous movie, like, oh, no, he lived and he did this. When I see that now, I'm like, okay. Now, granted, if he had duct tape over his mouth, he'd still be able to make some kind of noise, probably. He'd be doing something differently. I think he could have taken the mask off, but whatever. Was it duct taped or stapled to him? Whatever silly thing there was. But it was so uncharacteristic when he grasped 3 different times and 3 different ways at that mask when he regained the highest level of consciousness that we saw, that I was very shocked. That's not really a final thought. That's just going into probably what might be our next episode.
You're into the after show here, because I got a lot to say to that. But
are we going to do Resurrection in a month or two? Is that what this is turning into?
Do I need to break this into a 2-parter here? What's the deal? I ignore that, guys. I really do. I know what's happened, but I'm like, nah, that's Michael. I look at this. I don't look at him. And also, all right, so this is interesting. When you listen to the commentary, Jamie Lee Curtis talks about in this film, she talks about how much she loves it. And she makes a joke saying the movie kicks in at the 1-hour mark. But during the commentary, she's nothing but positivity. Years later, she's like, yeah, I did the movie as a cash grab, which seems disingenuous because it's not a bad movie.
I don't think I buy that either.
And I think she, all right, so get this, right? You have Halloween, 1 and 2, whatever. Then Halloween H20. Let's pretend Halloween Resurrection never exists. So in Halloween H20, she's trying to build a new life, have a boyfriend, raise a kid, be a normal human. And then after 98, when he attacks again, you learn that it's another person. That's when she could go into a bunker. That's when she could, you know what I mean? That's when she could start protecting herself, learn how to shoot, like become a recluse. So I think you could have tied that into it. But I don't know. I hold great nostalgia for this movie. I still think it holds up. I love the little touches. And I'm just glad you guys joined me to chat about a lot of different things in the movie. We probably got going on a little bit about Wonders, but it's, I don't know, man. I dig this flick, even with the weird ending. And you're going to get me started on that because there's so much behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
Tell me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts in 1 minute.
I mean, I hate to pick sides, but the fact is, I think you're right, Mark. Like this was shot and filmed according to Jamie Lee Curtis and the creative team to be it. So when and I think this is a classic Rorschach example where you're seeing him clutch his mask and act aloof. A lot, the same people who would say that's clearly not him in Halloween 8 would be different people than who said this is Michael Myers. He's clever. He knows how to, guilt you. He knows how to psych you out, and he's playing dumb. And I think that was the initial, I want to presuppose this, that was the initial intent with that scene. He knows he's trapped. He's literally pinned. What can he do? So, of course, he's going to, appeal to her instincts, reach out his hand for one last, attempt to save his own career. But, yeah, I mean, when you watch him clutch his mask, it looks like something he would never do for obvious reasons. I would argue that he's just playing. But yes, when they decided to do another movie, and this is why Jamie Lee Curtis killed herself off in the opening sequence of 8, they needed an out, and they always bake that into the deal, right? Miramax, Dimension, what have you. They always say, well, we got to leave it some semblance of justification that it could continue. So they shot footage for, a would-be escape, but I don't think the intent was to ever make good on it. At least that's what the archives would have me believe. But that's the beauty of the ending, right? You watch it and people come away thinking, oh, she done goofed. She clearly killed the wrong man. But I do want to believe, and I like to believe that was Michael, trying to appeal to her and save his own hide.
She lops his head off. They should have thumb wrestled.
If you want to make the YouTube where it just cuts to people going at it with thumbs, then by all means.
How could we recreate that, y'all? Edit it together.
It wouldn't be hard, just cuts, and then you got some people with a dark background.
Thumb wrestle?
Bruised hands or whatever, yeah, sure.
What do you think, Levin? Good?
Well, I mean, we saw her do the thumb war with Arnold Schwarzenegger at the very end of True Lies. We know she's got we know she's got those chops in her.
Did she win?
Yeah, because remember she was doing. She and Dana were both thumb wrestling each of his hands after all the truth came out, and her hair was long because it was like a year later or something. Like you're cheating, and they're like beating her, and so she's been there.
She can take on Arnold.
That probably would have been, by the way, how you mentioned that someone said she had she was buff for this. I'd say she was way less buff than she was for True Lies, but in True Lies, she was in the best shape of her life. And that was just, 4 or 6 years is not a short period of time, but she got in some outstanding shape for that movie because of her striptease scene. And, maybe she just kept some of her workout habits. She got a little older and, she kept a little bit of her Michelle Obama guns.
All
right. Well, thank you guys for joining me. This was great.
Thanks for having me, boys.
All right, this is good. So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, and for John Levengood and Clement, this is Movies, Films, and Flicks. We'll see you next week.